Hi, I'm Dr. Jim Bentz, and I'm the trainer in North America for the Neurological Integration System. And I just want to give you a short introduction to that system before we actually show you some demos of what NIS looks like in a practice setting. So the first thing you need to understand is that neurological integration is a neurologically based system. It's based in sound neurological principles. The primary one being that the nervous system is in communication with every cell in the body on an ongoing basis. And it ultimately controls the function of every cell in the body on an ongoing basis. Look, we know now from modern brain science how incredibly complex the nervous system is. And we only want to be able to tap into that system and get information, which is what NIS allows us to do. And basically what we'll be working with in NIS are what we call motor sensory loops. So the way the nervous system works, very simply, is that it sends signals from the brain down to the body. And that's to all the cells, whether it's an organ, a gland, even the cells, or a muscle, a tendon, a ligament. And the body then immediately sends sensory feedback right back up to the brain. And that sensory feedback then modulates the motor output. So this is going on millions of times per second. A lot of neurological traffic, very fast. And sometimes those motor sensory loops can actually break down. And they break down due to stressors. These would be things like physical trauma, pathologies like viruses, bacteria, fungal infections, chemical stressors, toxicity, diet, things like that. And last but not least, emotions. We know now unequivocally that emotions play a huge role in our health. So when we exceed those tolerances, it's very much like overloading one of the circuit breakers in your house. You know, you put 16 amps in that 15 amp circuit and the breaker's going to go off. You got to walk to the back of the house and reset the breaker, right? That's very much what happens in NIS. And we can actually access information about those motor sensory loops via a simple muscle test. Now, very important that we understand that the muscle test or the kinesiological test is a neurological test. It is not a strength test. Again, it's based on sound neurology. And I'll be demonstrating how that looks in the demos and talking more about that. But really important to understand it is a neurological test. Now, when we go through and test various points on the body, any points that are associated with a motor sensory disruption, or we call it a signal disruption, it's going to cause a loss of muscle control. And you'll see that demonstrated again in the demos. And this is just the brain giving us feedback about what's going on in the body, where it's not congruent with some body system, some structure in the body, even some cell in the body, perhaps even connections within the brain itself. And then we're going to show you integration. Integration is just a simple tap on the head over a very specific area called the postcentral gyrus, which is the primary sensory receiving and dispatching center of the brain. Now, it's really important for you to understand this, that integration is not an intervention. We're not trying to make the brain do something. We're not trying to force it to do something. All we're doing is pointing it in the direction that it's not able to see what's going on. So by getting the brain to be aware of the sensory breakdown, it immediately triggers a very complex cascade of neurological events, which ultimately results in that neurological circuitry being restored. So ultimately what we really have with NIS is a very elegant and simple way to be in direct communication with the innate intelligence, that wonderful intelligence that runs everything in our body automatically. We don't think about it. It is a far more intelligent system than any doctor could ever be, right? So we can try to mentally figure out stuff. We can do all sorts of tests and try to figure out stuff. But really, if we can just go to the source of what really controls health in the body, tap into that, it'll give us the information we need to reconnect normal neurological circuitry, and health will ensue.